We try to do as much ahead of time at home before we get to the campsite, because when you get to the campsite, you want to socialize and sit around the campfire or go for walks or just veg. You're kind of on vacation, a little mini breakaway.
From the blog Random Sweets, I'm Stacy Mergenthal, and this is Funeral Potatoes and Wool Mittens, a show for people who embrace the warm and cozy spirit of everyday living in the northern Midwest, like today's guest, Jenn Buse, who is such a seasoned camper that I just knew we would have a lot of fun talking about meals and snacks she shares with her family, whether they're fireside folk singing or watching the sunset over Lake Poinsett, or cozied up in the camper on a rainy day. Born on Memorial Day in the 1970s, Jenn has celebrated nearly all 49 of her birthdays at campgrounds. And once she became a mom, she and her husband Brent carried on the summer tradition for camping with their children, MacKenzie and Landen. In this episode, Jenn shares how she came to love Midwest summers as a bassinet camper, also a few of her favorite campgrounds in South Dakota and Minnesota, why she knows how Tinder works even though she and Brent just celebrated their 29th wedding anniversary, the surprising way she grew up eating graham crackers for breakfast, and her approach to simplifying that dreaded unloading process once they return home from a long weekend of camping. And she's so generous, she shares her family favorite recipes that we can all make for camping or a picnic or a summer day at home. With breakfast being the most important meal of the day, we begin with omelets in a bag, and then we talk about their famous Buse flapjacks and toad in a hole. For lunchtime and snacks, Jenn shares MacKenzie's mustard dip, her mom's horseradish pickles, and Grandma Beth's macaroni salad that never misses a camping trip no matter who's bringing it, and Grandma Henkel's potato salad that actually people used to buy around here by the ice cream pail. And once supper rolls around, we're firing up the grill to make hobo dinners, Jamie's glazed ham, and Spam pizza burgers. Yes, you heard that right, Spam pizza burgers. And I also learned that you can do an entire shrimp boil for a crowd in a turkey fryer. Of course, we leave the best for last, the sweet treats for the campfire, like what they use to switch up their s'mores and how they make pie pockets out of biscuits in a bonfire sandwich cooker. And then the funniest story about her dad, popcorn, and raccoons. If you like lefse, be sure to listen all the way to the end because Jenn has a little secret about how to buy it from the Lefse ladies, which she actually co-owns with her sister-in-law, Amy. So while you're listening, you can enjoy the recipes, find the links, look at photos on randomsweets.com. Especially check out the vintage photo of Jenn and her Grandma Henkel on their bicycles at Peace Pipe Vista at Itasca State Park. Pretty sure Jenn is sitting on one of those old bikes with the banana seat, and I think Grandma Henkel has like a 3-speed or a 10-speed with a basket on the front. And she also shared a photo of me from on the day that she and I first met in 1991. It was around that time that she remembered me saying something like, well, we can host Thanksgiving, but I barely know how to make a box of stovetop. I'm sure I said that, definitely in my early 20s. Okay, one last thing. If you aren't already subscribed, please subscribe to this podcast so that I know you can binge listen while on your next camping adventure. So grab your notebook because it's time to talk easy camping food and favorite campgrounds with Jenn Buse. All right, well, Jenn Buse, welcome to Funeral Potatoes and Wool Mittens.
Good morning.
Hi. I'm so glad to have you here today. It's been a long time since I've seen you. As a matter of fact, Jason just asked me, so have you not seen her since the 90s?
Nope.
And I'm like, I don't think so, because I went over to Tyler when you guys told me about your neighbor who was selling some cool old stuff in his house.
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that?
Yep, Mark Schwannebeck, yep.
Okay, and I said, sure, I'll come over and take a look, and I got some cool things. And Brent came over, and I remember seeing Brent.
Okay.
But I said, I'm pretty sure Jenn was working and I wasn't. Yeah. So I have not seen you since the 90s.
It's been forever.
Yeah. And it seems just like yesterday.
Right? It does.
I think it's because of social media, right? I just feel like I know so much and see all the cool things that you guys do. And So,
and it's fun to follow yours too. So
well, it's a lot of food.
Oh, well, that's right.
We're going to talk about something really neat today, and it's different, but it's camping, and that's not something that I do often. I mean, we have with a camper. I don't do tents. That was more the church group out in the Black Hills sort of thing when you're 13 years old, but campers we've done. But you guys camp a lot, and I see that, and you're always having so much fun, and you have big spreads of food because you don't just camp by yourselves. You usually have friends, and I thought, how cool would it be to have Jenn come and talk about some of the foods that they prepare ahead or that they make at the campsite and just share with everybody what you do.
Mm-hmm. My name's Jenn Buse. We're from Tyler, and I'm married to Brent. We have 2 kids, Mac, who's 26, and Landen, who's 24. Both graduates at SDSU, so we like the Jacks, of course.
Yeah. Is Mac, she went for a nurse?
Mac is an RN, yep, at Avera. Okay. Her first day out of college and on the floor was COVID, when COVID started that day. So she's had a challenging start, but loves it. Mm-hmm. And Landon is a civil engineer. He works for Banner in Brookings, and he's busy planning a wedding here soon for next May. So yesterday, actually, on our anniversary, we got to go pick out flowers for that. So it was kind of fun to, have all those kind of connections. Right. Having a boy, it's different than the girl, Right. It's like you're always busy with the bride, but...
And you and Brent just celebrated 29 years?
29 years yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday was your anniversary.
Crazy, right?
Congratulations, I know. I was at your wedding.
I know.
I remember it.
I do remember that. And we both work in Marshall. Brent is with MnDOT, and myself, I'm a co-owner of Sheer Attraction with Rose Draper. We have a salon and a boutique that kind of goes along with it. And
where's that at?
Right across from the movie theater. There's Lion Street. There's a big parking lot behind Hunan Lion. We always tell people to park there and come in our back door there. But right downtown. So it's kind of a nice location, and it's growing, which is nice. So, yeah, it's just...
And you've had that for a long time, right? I can't remember you doing anything else.
Nope. I have I've been doing hair 30 years, and I bought in 6 months out of school.
Wow.
So it was the most terrifying thing, but yeah. so much love it. My grandmother's was a hairstylist as well, and actually gave me the passion for my profession. And I was her first client, and I did her hair last as well. So it was kind of fun that she started me and I finished her. So
right. What's that grandma's name? Because you have a tattoo that's special too, I think, right?
And that's Grandma Merlane Hinkle. She did house calls in Ballatin for years, her and her sister.
Really?
And that's kind of where it started. When I was very young, 4 or 5 years old, we'd go out or stay with her on weekends and go and have her, she'd roll them up in the morning and come back in the afternoon and comb them all out. And yeah, they did house calls. And I just remember
knew they did that.
I remember her always getting all this cash, and I'm just like, she's rich. I want to be a hairstylist. So that's kind of where it all kind of led to, and glad that we went down that road, because I love it. I tell my kids, enjoy what you do, because then it doesn't feel like you're working a day in your life. So
exactly,
it's a lot of fun. So I'm still living in Tyler then, actually born and raised there. Have 2 grand fur babies, which are my world. I was never a dog lover growing up with dogs, so that was a little different. But they're pretty special. And
you can still, give them treats and send them home, just like grandkids that you'll have someday.
Yeah, spoil them and go. Usually I'm like, can I have them for a weekend?
You ask?
I do. So yeah, it's fun to have them too. So yeah, and we like to travel. We've had the kids as far as Europe, Spain, Africa. Of course, one of our favorite is Mexico. We hit Cozumel quite often. The kids have been there quite often with us, and then the weekends brings us to camping and road trips, and we like to do that as well. So
go back to Mexico. You do that once a year for sure. Like you have an annual sort of standing trip.
Yes,
in place.
Generally, it started out every other. But it has kind of transpired in almost every. And of course, it's always over my husband's birthday. And I always say, I'm going to be in Mexico on my birthday someday. So maybe 51, 50, I know we have other plans, but...
Well, I was going to say you would do it for your 50th, but you told me last week family comes first.
Yes,
and you have
my godchild is
graduating.
And cousin's son is graduating that day, so yeah.
Okay.
But that's okay. 51 will be just as special, so...
Right.
Why not be on a beach, in May?
Exactly.
I mean...
After a long Midwest winter.
Yeah, well, like I say too, we're usually camping on my birthday because Memorial Day, and that's the day I was born. But I always say, what's the difference? You're by a lake and it's hot here. We could go to Mexico and it's hot and be by a beach as well. So,
yeah. So talk a little bit about camping, your lifetime of being a camper.
Yes. Well, again, like I said, I was born on Memorial Day. So every birthday was at a lake or by a campfire or with family, which is fun. And we enjoy doing that. We started out in the back of a pickup topper with my folks, obviously as kids. So, I mean, we just load that thing as full as we could get it. The door barely shut. And when you got to the campsite, of course, we all help unload everything. And then I have tented. My husband and I, that's what he started out in. And then from the pickup topper as a kid, we went to a smaller hard shell, just ice box, no running, no toilet or nothing, just a gas stove and ice box. And then moved up to where we are now, which is, I think, a 30-foot, which I call glamping. My husband has to have all the luxuries. I'm not saying I'm going to, be bummed if they went away, but it's like, I always tell him this is not camping, but we do enjoy it. So yeah, we're now into a camper. Started as a kid, literally came out I think I was a week old in a bassinet and slept in the bassinet. And my kids did the same. Well, Kinsey, not so much. She was a 6-month-old because she was born in the winter, but Landon was the end of April. So he slept in the same bassinet that I did in a pop-up. And
as a newborn.
And at that time, we were doing a lot of camping Stony Point area or on the north side of the lake, Allie Lunds Beach.
Where's Stony Point? Is that
Lake Benton?
Oh, it is the Lake Benton one. Okay.
Yep. It's now it used to be a city-owned park, and now it's Dan and Lori Ellefson own it.
Oh, okay.
So it's still there, just it's not city-owned anymore. But we also used to go north across the water there and at Allie Lunds Beach, and we had a family, the Atkins, that always joined us. And so our birthdays were celebrated at the lake all the time. As were Landon's probably growing up. We were always gone. So yeah, it's just something we've always done. And our kids are graduated from college and with their significant others or married, and they're still coming with us. And it's just a good family time, and when it rains, like this last weekend, we were in Sleepy Eye with all of them, and you have to get in the camper in a small space and either play games or talk or just, it's just, we enjoy it. It's not everybody's tea, but everyone should try it.
Right. So it sounds to me like your kids will most likely carry on that tradition with their families.
I do feel like it. I do feel, I feel like Landon and Sarah for sure. Kenzie and Mac, I think, would love to if, it brings them to that situation. But they can always be in with us. And, I mean, ours is big enough. Like I said, we get it big enough for everyone to join in. And like I said, when people think, oh, my gosh, all these adults and dogs come out of this trailer, but we make it work. It's just we don't know anything different. So we enjoy it. Right. And they're all good help. And everybody brings a little bit to help out with food. And it's a good time. It's fun.
So let's go into some of the food. And I said, send me a little list of some of the things that you make. And I love how you broke it down into, here's some breakfast items, here's lunch and snacks, and then there's the supper and the, around the campfire sort of snacks or evening treats. So let's start out with breakfast. And the first one that I want you to talk about, because it was so intriguing to me, is omelet in a bag.
Yeah. It's, again, we try to do as much ahead of time at home before we get to the campsite, because when you get to the campsite, you want to socialize and sit around the campfire or go for walks or just veg. You're kind of on vacation, a little mini breakaway. But the omelets in a bag, you take freezer quart-size bags, And you can label them. So say like one doesn't like onions or whatever, but grab a quart-sized bag, freezer bag, and put in, we usually do 2 eggs. You can do 3 eggs. And then any fixings you want in an omelet. Your cheese, your onion, your peppers, olives, whatever you want. And then you can seal them up, put them in your Ziploc baggie, put them in your fridge. And then when you get there, just start a boiling pot of water. And they usually say 6 to 7 minutes per egg that you have in your bag. So say if someone has 3 eggs, I might have to go 20 minutes or so or whatever. But usually 15 minutes or so, and take them out and open up Ziploc baggie, put it on your plate, add some cheese, salsa, whatever you want on it. And it's just an easy meal.
So did you say you're scrambling or beating the eggs?
Actually, put it all together and then Ziploc it and just kind of like smush the bag together, and that just kind of scrambles it there. You can scramble it all beforehand. We just always just crack them in and whatever you want, and then just kind of
shake it up,
shake the bag up a little bit. Put it in the water.
and you're adding the cheese to it too. So everything that goes in it, you're adding in it.
Yep.
And boiling it in that freezer bag. Is that why you have to use a freezer bag?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the
that
heat.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because at first when you said freezer bag, I thought you were freezing them, but
no.
Now I see why you need to do the freezer bag.
Yep. You need the thickness for the heat to withstand the heat. And and then just open it up and put it right on your plate. And like I said, finish off whatever you like on your omelet. So pretty easy.
Plus I like that you're making it and then you're having to do the cleanup at home. But again, we're talking about things that make it easier when you're out camping. And so you don't have all the cleanup. If you're dicing up peppers and shredding cheese and all those things, you now also have a mess to clean up.
Right? Yes.
But with this, you don't.
No.
Oh, that's really cool.
And it just seems like it simplifies the refrigerator because everything is in the bag, and you don't, like you say, you don't have the cheese bag, you don't have the onion, you don't have the peppers. It just opens up your refrigerator space as well. So,
how many days do those last? So when I think about if you go camping for say 3 days, or I had told you earlier, my nephew Garrett, he basically lives in his camper for the summer when he's at work on job sites. So if one day he made up a few of those bags to get him through the week, how long do you think?
We've used them on our week stays or week and a half stays. So I guess, I would say at least that. I mean, because it's always worked for us, but as long as you keep them refrigerated.
So you could do on Sunday, you could do like a week's worth of omelets so that in the morning you're getting ready and you could have this bag that's getting ready. Nice.
Yes, it is. It's
cool.
it's just simple. I mean, and like I said, we try to be as simple and fuss-free when we're camping because we go all, week long. So when we get on the weekends, it's nice to just throw it in, eat, and get going.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these things that we're going to talk about today too, they intrigue me and I want to use, and I don't camp. So there again, that's something that when we were busy hockey parents and you have these weekends where you might not be staying overnight somewhere, but you have early mornings. So I could see getting these bags together in the fridge and then having a couple weekend mornings where you can just at home, not even camping, but have them ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the kids could even make their own or whatever, but some good protein.
We have been told that you can freeze them, make them up and freeze them. But I don't know, if they would get a little bit watery. I'm not real sure.
Okay. Well, let's go to these flapjacks. And this is a special recipe of somebody's.
Yes, this is Brent's grandma Leona from Iona, or was from Iona. Came up with the flapjacks. It's just your eggs, salt, sugar, milk, oil, flour mix up. And they're just a really thin, almost like a crepe is what I would kind of describe them as. But they're like a thin pancake. Of course, if you go to Brent's dad's house, they're ginormous. They're like double the size of a paper plate by the time you get them on. But I generally do your normal average pancake size. But some do a little bit larger. But yeah, it was Brent's grandma, I think, started it. And I tell you, Buse gatherings, everyone's talking or eating or making or bringing these flapjacks. So,
okay. So they stood the test of time.
Yeah. And again, those two you can make up ahead of time and put them in a Ziploc baggie and pull them out. So you're not fussing with all this, at the campground too. So
the actual flapjacks, you mean? Or
yes. Yeah. Yes.
What do you make them in then?
Just on a griddle. Just like your pancakes, just a flat griddle. Some people use a cast iron skillet thing. We choose to do the griddle on the countertop you can do a few of them at a time. But
so you're doing them in your camper then?
Yes.
Not
yes.
outside. That's something too that we didn't really talk about, but you're doing most of these things in the camper.
Yeah. When we get with a group, or even when we first started, we probably did a lot more cooking outside we have a camp stove or whatever. Mm-hmm. But now since you've got all the stuff in the camper, you're glamping, you have all
with
those.
The air conditioning on.
Everything's right there. It's easier for me just to prep a lot of it and make it in there than, unless we're doing the grilling, the burgers, steaks, that kind of stuff. But yeah, otherwise, if we're there for a week, sometimes we'll pull out the camp stove and do your bacon and stuff out there. So then you have all that grease smell of the bacon smell that stays outside. But for the most part, it's on a griddle inside the camper. So
can you make that batter up ahead and put it in the refrigerator?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A couple days? Or...
Yeah, I would say, 2-3 days. Or you do it like on a Thursday, it'd be good through the weekend, or, something like that. So, and again, it's just like pancakes. I know we've done the pancake batter up ahead of time as well, but flapjacks just seem to be what the Buses do. So so now we've the Terharks are doing it too. Nice. That and Grandma Leona, I guess, used to always make these awesome cinnamon rolls. I have never made them. My husband has, and they are wonderful, but I've never made them for camping. But, it seemed like she knew how to feed a tribe because there was a lot of them. So
right. We'll share that recipe for the flapjacks, right?
Sure. Yeah.
On randomsweets.com.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We can do that.
Then people can try that too. Okay. This one, I'm like, what in the world is she talking about? Graham cracker cereal? What are you doing?
It's exactly what it is. I know my kid, we all love it. It's just basically graham crackers, and you break them up, put them in a bowl with milk and sugar. I know, when I first met Brent and I was eating it, and he was just kind of like, oh, what are you eating? But oh my gosh, it's wonderful. Honestly, I just had some the other day, and I sent a snap to my son, and he's like, oh, I haven't had that in a long time. I forget about it. But it's just graham crackers broke up and put a little sugar and milk on it. And
just white sugar?
Yep.
Plain white sugar?
Yeah.
So that was something did you do that as a kid?
That is something as a kid my mom did, or we always did. Daycare. My mom ran daycare for many years, and I think she fed some of that to them. And we grew up with it. It's just, it's simple and it's easy and it's yummy.
Have you ever tried anything other than the graham crackers? Have you tried the cinnamon grahams?
I have tried the cinnamon grahams. I'm not a lover of that. I think it's probably your mindset of you use the original. I bought honey ones one time and gave them to my son. I think that was when he was in college. And he called back the next morning and he's like, don't get those again. They just turned to mush. So I don't know why they would be different. But so I ended up trying it at home, and they just kind of just mushed out.
Soggy.
And they weren't as...
So what brand are you using? What, do you know?
I don't even have it. I just get the original. It can be the off-brand, the Walmart brand. It can be the, granola grams or whatever it is. I don't really have a per se a certain brand. It's just I stay away from the cinnamon or the honey. It's just got to be the original graham crackers. But so it's a simple thing, but it's so easy. And again, you always have graham crackers we always have graham crackers in the camper because of s'mores. So why not have graham cracker cereal?
Yeah. All right. So Able Skeevers, am I saying that right? Because Tyler, Minnesota has even Able Skeever days. Right. So is it like a Danish sort of?
It's a Danish thing. It's Able Skeevers is how we say it. Okay. I am not Danish, but of course, born and raised in the town and going to Danebo Church, and being part of that. Yeah, we call it Able Skeevers, but there's so many variations with that as well. Some people say you could put, like those little smokies inside them. Some say fill it with a pie filling. Some eat it with powdered sugar. Some eat it with jam. Some eat it with sugar. There's just so many variations that have broken off from it. But you have an apple skeever pan that just makes these little round pancakes. Basically, are easy enough to say. People think there's apples in them because they think it's apple skeevers, but it's apple skeevers. But it's just Bisquick, milk, and eggs. And again, there are a few other variations, but the one we have, that's what it is, and it's easy. And And we can share that recipe as well. Very easy to make. I don't know. We have had them camping a couple times. And we bring all the griddles or whatever to make them, or the cast iron pans to make them. But that, again, is easier to do it at home. And when we usually make them, we usually make a huge batch of them and freeze them or eat them, if the tribe is there. But yeah, but they're fun. They're wonderful, to try. And
are they puffier than a pancake? Are they?
They're a round circle. They're a ball.
So kind of like donut hole.
Yeah,
/
kind of a little
size.
bigger than a donut hole. A little airier. They're not a heavy like a pancake. They're a little airier than that. But if you've never had them, over Abilski for days, they have them down there at the fairgrounds, and people can come try them. So
right. And is that usually the last weekend in July, or am I thinking
it's
something
the fourth
different?
Saturday, always in July. We live on Main Street, so obviously, the parade goes right by. We entertain, and it's a fun day. Landon usually smokes something on the smoker. He's our smoker griller, him and Brent, and so he usually throws something on that, and the family all comes. And
that reminds me, Brent, he needs to come sometime, and him and Landon could both do it, but they could do an episode talking about smoking and grilling.
Yeah, they enjoy
'tis the season.
Yeah, right. We were talking about it again at the campfire this last weekend too, and talking about cold smoking and doing cheeses and that kind of stuff. And because my one niece has a boyfriend that likes to do that kind of stuff too. So yeah, it's just kind of fun everybody tries everything. We go hunting, we do all of our smoking of the meats and curing and all that kind of stuff too. So that's kind of fun to bring along some of that stuff during the summer. You make it all winter and you get to eat it camping.
Does Brent do a lot of prep of like smoking meats and smoking some things before you go camping?
Not so much meats for smoking camping. We don't really bring the smoker there. Like your marinating of your steaks and that kind of stuff, he'll do that kind of stuff. Okay. But as far as hauling the smoker with, we don't. Right. We try to, like this weekend on Friday, we had smoked pulled pork. But we made it, a couple weeks ago, freeze it and bring it. So, we're still having it at the campsite, just not doing it there.
To me, it's more about what you have to do when you get back home.
Right.
It's not so bad loading the things up and bringing it. But when you get home, the more that you have to clean up, take out, wash.
Yep. And even our coming home, I think our neighbors probably just like, oh my gosh, these people. But when the kids were home, we all had our job. We all knew what to do when we pulled in the driveway. As Brent was, draining the water or unhooking the camper, I'm starting the laundry, they're bringing in food. We all had our jobs to do, and within an hour or so, we're all done. They were always good help at doing that. And that's what so many people say, camping, oh my gosh, it's so much work. It is a lot of work, but if you can plan ahead of time and have good help, it's a lot of fun too.
True.
So it's kind of how you do it, or we go to some of these campgrounds, and these wives are trying to help these husbands back into the spots, and I've done it for ever. And you got the lady, she's standing directly behind the camper, and you're like, your husband cannot even see you in a mirror. So if you can't see him, he can't see you, like he has no idea where you're at. So we just sit there and laugh, and we're like, do people do this to us too,
Probably not. You guys are pros.
and we have had people, like we do, we camp out at Spearfish over the 4th of July. The last 4 or 5 years, I think we've done that. But there's a couple, I remember the first time we pulled in, and Brent was pulling up on blocks, and he was putting the blocks down, and I hopped in the car and was pulling it forward onto the blocks, and the gal's just like looking like, I don't think she did anything. I think she just sat in the chair and her husband did it all. It's like, no, we're kind of a team player in this. We all help because, like I said, it is work, but you can make it fun too. That's
many hands make light work.
Exactly.
You've got that mastered.
Yes. Think smarter, work smarter, not harder type of thing,
Yeah. Toad in a hole.
Toad in a hole, yeah. The kids, I don't remember. They got this at daycare. This was a daycare thing. Teresa Kiefer Ryder from Tyler, a family friend of ours. Actually, her mom is my godmother who made my wedding dress. And anyway, I can't say I remember ever camping with them or anything, but as far as this recipe, the kids, when they went to her daycare, it's basically, I had to actually was snapping her the other day to make sure I was saying this and doing this correctly. But you just butter a piece of bread on each side, like you're going to do grilled cheese type of thing, and put it on a griddle, like a countertop griddle. Or like all these Blackstones, I suppose, now that everyone uses, it works too. But then put the one side down and take a juice glass and cut a circle out of the bread. And then finish grilling that little piece as well. But then you crack an egg in the little hole and then flip it over and obviously grill the other side. But the kids have talked about these since daycare time. So yeah, they're kind of fun to every once in a while just do and can do like, oh my gosh, we haven't had these since Teresa's daycare. But I always wondered what you do with this little round piece that you cut out, you know?
Right.
And I guess it probably went to the dogs, you know, for as far as for us. But when I was talking to Teresa last week, I'm like, so, okay, can you tell me what you always did with the little piece that you cut out? And she goes, oh, the kids just love dipping that in syrup or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I suppose, you know, I guess I've never even thought of that. But our four-legged friends have to have breakfast too, so.
Little piece of bread never hurt
Right, exactly. So, yeah, it's a pretty easy little recipe, and the kids enjoy it, and yeah,
you can have the egg done as well as you want. Some people probably like the runny with the toast, which I am not that person. Jason is.
Yeah, I am too.
You like the
all
runny?
The yolk you can have is yum. Yes.
So you could cook it to a over hard, and just eat it like that.
Yeah, and you know, you could put cheese on top of it, or like I said, she must have did syrup a lot with the kids and whatever.
Sugar them up.
There you go. Right. They're going home with mom and dad later, so why not?
It's fun to have good food daycare memories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mine are bad. They have to do with beets.
I love beets, but I know for kids, a lot of kids like, ooh, but yeah, I love all those strange kind of foods, so.
So toad in a hole.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like I said, it's really, it's not that hard. Something that you could have even the kids do. I mean, if they wanted to be a part of it, you know, just.
And you could do that easily. Like if you had a little morning campfire and had a cast iron skillet, you could probably do them pretty easy in there.
Yeah, we used to do, like I said, a lot of stuff, you know, burgers over the campfire griddle and all that stuff. But we just have chose to, you know, do as much as we can beforehand, keep more time for sitting around gabbing and, you know, eating, I guess, as well. But it's kind of fun. And I guess I don't know if you've seen any of the snaps from the weekend, but our family, or the Turharks, we have this thing where we do this all-around bocce when we play.
I saw you playing games.
Yeah, so it's crazy. It's a lot of fun. My son-in-law has been the only one that I've ever seen break a bocce ball in half. But literally, we've done this in Tyler. We've done it a lot of places, but everybody has their own bocce ball, or the ball, the little bocce you throw, but and you just move throughout the campground. I mean, sometimes we've gone under people's trailers, and or we go to the playgrounds and we got to go down the slide, you know, or whatever. And you got to do, whoever throws the little bocce, you got to do whatever they do. And then, of course, whoever's ball is closer to it gets the points and gets to throw the ball again after that. But it's kind of just fun things like that you find time to do, along with waiting for the food to come.
Right. Meal and then activity. Activity, right? That's my kind of deal.
Yeah.
Especially when there's air conditioning to go skate to for a little bit.
And we've had that discussion. Our camper is like a ice house. I mean, it's freezing in there, so I'd rather be outside.
Yeah. Do you do water stuff? Do you have a boat? Do you fish?
We don't. My brother does. I'm sure my son will. We like to do that. I grew up fishing and in a boat as well, but you know, you find out, even my brother was making a comment this weekend. He just bought a ice cave, and so they've just started camping as well as ice fishing in it. But he's like, when you're camping, it takes up all your weekends. And unless you want to have 2 vehicles pulling a boat,
exactly,
it gets to be a lot. I mean, that's maybe where a permanent spot, if you like to do camping and boating, a permanent spot maybe is a little bit nicer, that route. We still like to travel and try different things or go to our favorites. And we have so many that, brings us that way too. So it's hard to, like Brent said, I don't know if we'd use a boat, but does it justify buying one? Because we always probably prefer camping over boating.
What are some of your favorite spots?
Our favorite spots now are probably the South Dakota state parks. Poinsett is one of our favorites. That's always our go-to, it seems like, for Memorial Day weekend now. The sunsets there are amazing. The entertainment on the lake, I mean, you've got a place where you can rent a pontoon right there too. So, and we always do, of course, down by the water. There is a couple different campgrounds on that. You can be the upper or the lower, but it's nice to have the oceanfront property, as we say. The dogs can run in and out, and like I said, just watch all that. The jet skiers and the water skiers and the fishermen, and so Poinsett's probably our favorite. Growing up, we used to go a week every July to Itasca State Park up north, and which was a favorite of ours. Along the way, we'd hit Waterama Days in Glenwood, and then stay at Lake Carlos one night, and then make the trip up to Itasca and stay for a week, and then come home. But Itasca's a good one. There's so much to do up there. I mean, and the bike trails. I mean, when we first started, of course, as kids, they were all just the dirt or the gravel. Now everything's paved or asphalted, whatever, and it's just so nice. I mean, and there's places to rent bikes. You can rent boats there as well. You got the headwaters of the Mississippi, which is just a fun little spot to go to. And I think we have oodles of pictures by the sign, by the rocks walking across the river. Yes. And then, of course, the kids did it, and we even, as kids, like I said, went every July, and there was a family from Illinois, and the dad was originally from Tracy, but they would come every year the same week. And so we got to be like good friends with these people, and I mean, just follow them. And then, of course, as they got older, the mom and dad still did camping, but the kids didn't. But reached out. Of course, Facebook was wonderful to reach out and finally find them and follow them and see where they're at and that kind of stuff. But we look forward to seeing them every year, So you build friendships like that too. That who would have thought, I think it's been 3 or 4 years since we've been up there. But we were just talking that again this last weekend. I'm like, we have to make a big trip because it's just, and the fishing up there is so fun. And my in-laws have a cabin by Dorset, which isn't very far, but we just, we just don't get up. Seems like we had more South Dakota with the kids. Another favorite is Oakwood State Park, South Dakota State Park as well. That one we try to do in the fall. It's just beautiful with all the oak trees. And last year, the cardinals were just crazy when we were sitting there. Yeah, I mean, like coming down and sitting on the mirrors of the vehicles. And it was, and their songs, of course, are so pretty. But it was just, that was so much fun there. City parks, Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. That's where we just were this last weekend. That one's a really nice one. Has a lake there. There's a brewery in town. You got the winery by New Ulm that you can always go hit. We're just kind of open to really anything. But our love for, as far as camping, the 4th of July one, going out to the hills to spearfish, staying. And we do a lot of hiking. Of course, like I said, we check out the breweries and that kind of stuff. Some of the local foods as well. But I have a nephew that lives out there in Belfouche, so it's kind of nice that now we can kind of connect up with him when he's there. But yeah, it's just nice to be able to move around.
Itasca, Jason and I went to that park last fall for the first time when we went to Bemidji for some hockey games.
Sure.
And his sister Betsy said, you guys need to go to Itasca. And we're like, it's too far away. We're not going to do it. But of course we did on the way back and fell in love. Wow.
Yeah.
The place is huge. I don't know how many acres, but
it's huge. Yeah. And there is a place where I guess we haven't been there now for 3 or 4 years, whatever, but like this Douglas Lodge.
Yes.
Where you can stay yet, I believe, right?
I know you can eat there. There's a restaurant on the main level, but I don't remember if they still have it open. I think you could still stay at the Douglas Lodge.
I'm thinking that
sure.
was still available. And I know even in the Bear Paw campground where we stay, usually there is a cabin. It was pretty run down, but it seems like it still did fine for like the fishermen that came in or whatever too. But there was nothing fancy about them. But I don't know if they are available or if they fixed them up either. But yeah, it's a beautiful area.
It is really cool.
Yeah. Very nice. Yep.
And we were there in the fall, so we were off season at that point. So even the restaurant wasn't open.
Okay.
I think we were there in October.
Yeah, it's
highly
recommend that one if if you haven't done that, and if you like to bike, fish, trail hike, whatever. And there's so much around you too. Like you could go into Lake George. They have like a blueberry stomping festival around that time, and what's nice, we always come in or go in July, and that's when I think they would hold that in Lake George, and we go pick blueberries and of course make blueberry pancakes the next day, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's just so much in the area. Bemidji, Brainerd, there's so much in that area up there that you can take in that isn't that far away either. So
right. Now, Sleepy Eye is the brewery that you talked about. Is that on that main drag?
Yes.
It is always packed when we go through town. We head to Mankato, Jason has family there, and we're always like, one of these days we need to stop there because it seems like it's really bustling. And
yeah, it's the old theater, and then there's a coffee shop in one end of it, and then the brewery in the other. And I don't know if they've had this, but I noticed this last weekend. We were out driving around, and there's a big back patio now. And then there's a food truck, Illegal Amigos, that always is there. And
oh my gosh,
wonderful if you like Mexican. I mean, yeah. So it's just Sleepy Eye. It is. It's just a fun little getaway, and it's a nice, beautiful campground. They've made some upgrades in the last couple of years. There's a couple cabins you can stay in it, and then on a bike trail that goes around the lake. I think it was like a 3-mile bike that we did. So.
Okay.
Grab some ice cream at Dairy Queen or grab a beer at the brewery and check it out.
It is a cool little town.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about lunch or snacks when you're camping. This one here I'm going to make because I love mustard and pretzels. So you have Mac's mustard, and she makes some sort of a...
Yes, she makes a wonderful mustard dip using your mayo and your sugar, your mustard, oil, and garlic powder. That's basically all it is. Just mix it all together, let it sit in the fridge for a little while, and the pretzel thins are like a hit with it. But, I mean, on chicken breasts, on burgers, it can be used anywhere you want, like a honey mustard type of thing, because it's a sweeter with the sugar in it, whatever. But, yeah, Mac's mustard is, like, anytime we get together, they all want it. Well,
and it's so easy, and I'm sure it keeps for a few days.
Oh, actually, well, if you can keep it around that long. At our house, it doesn't seem to last very long, but yeah, you can, I would say, at least a week for sure in the refrigerator. Okay. But like I said, at our place, it goes on anything and everything, and yeah, it's a hit.
The pretzel thins, good idea. I was also thinking it would be good, when you fry, like slice up. I don't really do the sausages or brats, and then not quite hot dogs, but little smokies. And you kind of slice those and fry the little pieces, and then do your little toothpick dunks.
They would be wonderful. Okay. Yeah, it would be one day. It's like I said, it's just an all-round dip to use with anything and everything. I did find out, or have found out, if you bring it camping, which we generally always do, keep it out of the sun because it will start separating.
It's got the mayo in it.
It'll start separating a little bit. So you definitely, maybe do a smaller, or do like a glass dish and do smaller dishes of it. So you're going through it and then having to go in and refill it type of thing. And always a favorite. So
I'm a mustard freak. Yeah. All right. So what are the old OBLTs?
OBLTs, again, are just a simple little, you add an onion. That's what your O is. So I know when people say OBLTs are like, what? Like you saying O, like OH? I'm like, no, just O. And they're like looking at us, you just add an onion. So again, simple, but like July when the tomatoes are all coming in your gardens, that's pretty much a Friday night meal when we get to a campground, because you're traveled wherever you're traveled from, or the distance, and you pull in. It's like you don't want, and it's usually you're warm from setting everything up or whatever. Just do a BLT, you have your bacon done ahead of time.
That's what I was
Again, we
gonna
always
ask.
do that.
Yep. Okay.
And have BLTs, OBLTs, just add an onion. So yeah, very simple.
So you had a note with your mom's horseradish pickles. So are you adding those to the BLTs?
You certainly could.
I mean, I would love it. So
Do you like horseradish?
well, minimal. Jason will put a whole jar. I'll do half a jar.
Yeah, I like horseradish, but not like overpowering, take your breath away,
Yeah.
your eyes water type of thing. I'm not one like that. But the horseradish pickles are just a fun little snack, even just to put out on the picnic table and, toothpick type of style and munch on them. But yeah, they would be probably wonderful on that, to be honest.
I saw the recipe and she's starting with already jarred pickles. So
Right.
she's not pickling.
No.
She is upping the game for a jar of pickles.
Yeah.
So what does she do?
So she just buys an 80-ounce kosher dill pickles and drains them, cuts them into pieces, and then take 3 tablespoons of jarred horseradish, or some prepared. If you make your own, you can use that too. But there's 3 tablespoons of that, and 2.5 cups of sugar and a cup of vinegar, and then put them back in the fridge, cut up, and 2-3 days later, every day we would just spin the jar upside down, shake it a little bit, put it back in the fridge. 3rd or 4th day, they're ready to eat, and they're wonderful. Oh,
So the pickle juice that she drained out, is she keeping that and using it, or that's?
she does put a little bit of that back in there, yes. So it's kind of just to fill your jar back up. Use the recipe, and then the rest of the juice put back in to fill the jar up. And that's it. You won't use all of that because obviously you're putting other stuff in it. But
Okay.
But yeah, they're good. They're not overpowering at all. I mean, like I said, even those people that don't like horseradish will just try these and they're actually pretty good. Like, we got like pickles, obviously.
Well, yeah, but
who doesn't? I know there are some. My brother would be like, no.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love dill pickles. We go through quite a bit here.
Strongly say, just try them.
and that's a good food to just set out, like you said, when you're
Yep.
when you're camping and sharing with people. And
Yeah.
you could probably dip those in the mustard.
You probably
and
could
then add
if you
them to
wanted
the
to.
OBLTs.
You probably could. Someone even said, could you do those pickle wraps with them? I'm like, you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
They're a little sweeter, but I'm sure you probably could try them. And
Oh, sure, because you're adding sugar, like
Yeah.
half a cup of sugar in
yeah,
there. Okay.
yeah.
Well, and then on the side here, we're going to talk about 2 grandmas. We're going to talk about Grandma Beth's macaroni salad and Grandma Hinkle's potato salad.
Yes. Grandma Beth, or my mom, Beth. Yeah.
So this is your mom.
Yes, but Grandma Beth is because I'm talking
Okay.
obviously with my kids, but or she's a cook at the school at RTR, and everybody knows her as Grandma
Oh.
Beth. So, Grandma Beth, and even she makes the salad there, so the kids love the salad. But it's just your elbow macaroni salad, mustard, a little bit of mustard, mayonnaise, sugar. Frozen peas, of course, cut up Spam or ham. We're Spam people. I don't know if everybody is, but we are. And then your blocks of cheese and onion if you like onion in it. But her macaroni salad is to die for. It's just creamy, and pretty much every weekend camping that comes with us. Or it's said someone needs to. Usually she is, but someone has to.
Somebody has to bring
Yes.
it. What, is she using any seasonings?
I think it's just salt and pepper, actually, to taste. I don't think it's anything else. Okay. Like some people might do seasoned salts or whatever, but she just, I believe, is salt and pepper and like I said, a little bit of sugar and your mayo and titch of mustard, and it's just creamy and it's wonderful.
I love macaroni salad.
Yes.
I don't know if you listened to the episode with my friend Jill. She lives out in Rochester, New York, and
Yes,
she
I
said
did.
they cannot make macaroni salad out there.
Yes, I did.
Yep. So if you're listening, Jill, we'll share this recipe too, and you can
Yeah.
make some of those people out there enjoy your macaroni salad.
Correct.
So Grandma Hinkle's potato salad. So now Grandma Hinkle is, again, the one that was the hairstylist, right?
Yes. Grandma Hinkle was, she's from Battleton. She's the hairstylist. And she actually made potato salad for people's weddings, for graduations, and she would sell it by the ice cream pails. I mean, people loved merlaine, and they used to have the wild game feeder. I think they still do in Ballatin. She used to make it for that too. But it's just your red potatoes, your mayonnaise, and she always liked the whipped salad dressing is what she told me. However, like my mom's like, I don't remember her ever saying that. But to me, when she gave me the recipe, she wanted the whipped salad dressing, vinegar. I think she did seasoned salt and pepper, seasoning type of stuff to go with it. Green onions, celery salt, but it's creamy. She cubed up her, smaller cubed potatoes. She never did really big. She made them smaller, like little bite size, like your hash brown cube size,
Oh, sure. Okay.
But it's creamy, mustardy, holy yumminess. Every graduation, every confirmation, everybody always had Grandma Hinkle's potato salad.
So it was one of those just beloved dishes you couldn't wait to have.
Yeah, and always red potatoes. I mean, she always wanted the red russets, but it's to die for. But everyone, like I said, if they're from the area, they know what Merlane's potato salad. And she was a cook at the school in Ballatin for many, many years as well. So, I mean, she had a lot of time to expertise over all that stuff too,
All right. Well, those are some of the lunches. And for supper, I want to start with Spam pizza burgers. Now, for those of you who know what Spam is, that's great. You probably grew up around the Midwest or maybe in Hawaii. I don't know.
Right?
Because it's very big and popular there too. But Spam is made in Austin, Minnesota.
Correct.
There's even a Spam museum. Now, have you been to that, Jen?
I have not, to be honest.
I haven't either.
As much Spam as we eat, no, I have never. And Brent's got an aunt that lives there. We never ever did visit it. So, no.
I can't even say what it's made out of. It's pork. Yeah, basically, and so it's sold in a can, like a rectangular can. Yeah, a lot of preservatives.
Again, I'm a salt person, so.
But we grew up eating Spam in our macaroni and cheese.
Yep.
But I'm intrigued by the Spam pizza burgers.
It is to die for. I mean, for camping, for Spam, that's another go-to fried Spam for breakfast. An easy meat to fry up with your eggs and stuff. But Spam is just, we use it in everything. Like I said, my mom's macaroni salad, it's kind of a highlight. And then these Spam burgers, your no bean chilies, mixture, and your cheddar cheese or cheese and onion. Put everything through. Of course, we use the hand meat grinder.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
I think every grandkid that's married or on its own has a meat grinder. The old style, yes.
Most kids would not, but this is why.
But I think they feel like that's the only way you can make these, even though you can run them through a KitchenAid or something like that. But yeah, mix it all together, spread it on an open face bun. You can do cheesy bread, or if you want to do garlic cheesy bread too, or we usually do buns, open face buns or bread, and put them in on the broiler just for a few minutes until they're brown on top, and they're to die for too. Easy. These, I can't say we've done a lot of these camping. We have a little countertop oven. I mean, we have the oven in the camper too, but it seems like it gets so warm inside, so we use the little countertop oven and we'll throw them in there. But they're easy, simple things. You probably could put them over, a fire too, a grate, on foil, and let them sit just for a little while as well, just to warm them up. But they're just an easy go-to. If you like Spam, they're wonderful.
If you like Spam.
Yes.
So speaking of foil, then the poor boys, the hobo dinner, we make these at home all the time, just in the oven even. We've done them on the grill, but what a great idea for camping. Are you using ground beef? That's what we do. But...
For the majority, we do ground beef, green beans, onions, and potatoes.
Oh, green beans.
Yep. Also, we have substituted asparagus this time of year for the green beans. Another version we did chicken breasts, rice, and cauliflower, broccoli, and then we put a little bit of cream and mushroom soup over top. I believe you're not a cream and mushroom soup lover, right?
No, because they actually put mushrooms in them now.
I think I remember hearing that in a podcast as well.
It wasn't so bad when they really just creamed it, but
Yeah.
now that they actually have chunks of mushrooms, I can't do it.
Yeah, so
But
I
I'll
was
use
like,
cream of onion or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
but so we have mixed it up. One other time we did asparagus and salmon patties. You know, so you can
Ooh.
kind of, it's basically just any kind of meal that basically all can get done in about the same amount of time and can blend together in the oven. You know, you can do it. But yeah, when we just, you know, roll out a couple foot piece of foil, and then I always take a smaller piece and double it and lay it in where like all the stuff is going to be so it doesn't burn or
Yeah.
you know, it just seems like it keeps things a little better. But for the most part it's hamburger or ground burgers, whatever. Myself, for my family, something that I started doing probably a couple years ago, I also, when I have it all in the foil, I'll sprinkle over some of that onion soup, dried onion soup
Oh,
mixture.
the Lipton, like
yeah,
the- okay,
like
yep.
the Lipton,
Yep.
just to get a little bit of flavor, and so the family likes that as well too. But yeah, they're good at home and the grill, camping, really anywhere. So, and again, those if we know we're gonna have them on a Friday night, I'll make them at home before we go. I try to prep, like you say, a lot of the things ahead of time, and then we get there, it's just easier. But it's also another thing. Everyone builds their own. You know, bring out a big bowl of beans, bring out a bowl of sliced potatoes, your onions, you make your burger. Everybody can make their own too. So it's kind of something that the kids, if you have smaller kids, they can help do as well. Yeah, and I have seen where kids, they've done hot dogs and stuff in them too to make them more kid-friendly and what they want. But
Yeah, we're using like a ground beef or ground sirloin, potatoes, and carrots. Usually we're doing carrots in there.
sure.
Have to kind of slice them up a little bit because they take a long time to
Right.
get soft.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and when we've done the baby reds or those little potatoes you can get at Sam's or just the small mixture, those sometimes we'll microwave a few minutes and then put them in so they've already been cooked a little bit or softened. But for the most part, we dump them out of a can, the canned potatoes, and go that route if you're camping something a little bit, so it doesn't take up refrigerator space or whatever. It's just a can. But I prefer, or my family prefers, probably more the frozen beans and the fresh potatoes, so it takes a little bit longer on the grill. But
yeah, Jamie's glazed charcoal ham.
yeah,
What's this one?
that one he started a few years ago when we were camping out at the farm. My folks have a place outside of town by Dead Coon, just north of Tyler, and that's where we do all of our hunting and stuff is there. But he takes 1 jar of the minced garlic, Annie Bryan, and 1 can of beer, and 1 honey bear. Of course, now he does his own honey, so I think it's, 8 ounce? Is that honey bear? I think 8 ounce maybe.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. But...
Yeah, so, and then has like a half a ham, and mix all that beer, garlic, and the honey up and drizzles it over top. And like, I think halfway through, then every 15 minutes he coats it with this stuff.
Oh my goodness.
So it gets kind of a crust and kind of a sugary. It's really, really good. And actually, we want to try this. I was telling you on your brother-in-law Russell's, pulled ham, whatever. We want to try that with this as well.
What's funny is he just texted me the other day and showed a picture that he was using honey instead of maple syrup.
Oh, you're kidding?
No, and I
crazy.
haven't asked him yet how it turned out, so I have to find out. But
yeah, that was interesting that he uses honey or syrup a lot. We always do mustard or mayo, usually mustard, but we're like, the next time we try this, we're going to try using syrup too, or like you say, using honey now. I mean, I never even thought of that route either. But
and so is he smoking that ham or no?
It's just you get a charcoal grill. Okay. So we just wrap it in foil and put it on a charcoal grill.
Wrap it in foil, and it will get a crust then.
Yep.
But every so often
every 15 minutes after it's halfway done, every 15 minutes he's basting it or putting some more on and letting it cook through. But that's a really fun.
That sounds delicious.
Too. Yeah.
And a good camping one, because like you said, you're kind of sitting around, you got your lawn chairs, you can get up, do this every 15 minutes, and I mean, you're just kind of hanging around anyway.
Exactly.
Whereas at home you get a little more distracted. You're like, I got to go out and glaze the ham.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, shrimp boil for a crowd. You do this at camping?
We've done both, but we've done it more camping than we have at the house.
Crazy.
Yeah, we have an electric turkey fryer, which is nice. You don't have to haul the propane tanks and all that, it's just an electric one. fill it with water. And yeah, I've got the recipe too. You use those little potatoes from Sam's, and skinless sausage. We usually use our deer venison sausage that we've made. Onions, you dice them all up. Fresh oregano, fresh parsley, garlic's peel, your sea salts. Shrimp. The last time we did put in some crab meat. However, that kind of just fell apart once it was in there. It wasn't in the legs. It was the artificial crab meat. So I wouldn't probably suggest that again, even though it is a favorite. I'd probably keep that on a side, but and your potatoes and your lemon. But anyway, it feeds a crowd. We get it all boiling. You do your Old Bay seasoning in there, and we line the picnic tables, or usually 2 or 3 picnic tables because we're all there, with newspaper, and just dump it all out, and you just go to town.
And that's all in the turkey fryer?
It's all inside the turkey fryer, yeah.
Most people are probably like, well, yeah, duh, Stacy. But I don't do shrimp or the crawfish boils and
I don't
like
do crawfish. So. I just no, but
that's pretty cool.
Lobster,
though, that you can
shrimp,
do that.
Crab, I do all that. But yeah, you can kind of do whatever. But it's been, well, of course, when you get all of my brother's tribe and my folks, and then all of my kids and their significant others, there's quite a few of us, and it feeds a huge group of people. Yeah. And so easy.
You guys are good at that because you have family around all the time. I love that about your family, is that you always have big crowds. You welcome so many people, and whether it's while you're camping, or I know that you do a lot at your house too. I don't remember if it's a garage or a separate building, but you have it set up to entertain.
Yes. Yeah. 2019 we made that, and I tell you what, we have used it for so much. Yes, and then Apple Skeever Days, obviously everyone comes together with that, and we entertain in there too. But yeah, we're always entertaining, or my mom always has a house full come hunting, like October to December. It seems like there's always a crowd around. So
sure, because it's a big family affair.
Right.
I mean, I've seen pictures, and you're out in the deer stand with your gear on and your gun, and you're ready to go.
Yes. Usually I sit with my son. So I think a couple years ago I learned how to not use Tinder, but how Tinder worked. It's like, oh my goodness, this is what we're learning in a deer stand. Needless to say, I think that's where he met his to-be wife, and that's who he was showing me, who was on Tinder. So I guess maybe that was a good sign.
It worked, right?
Yeah.
All right, we have one more thing in the supper category, or dinner. Like you said, dinner to some people. The Dr. Oz chicken breast. This sounds healthy.
Yes, it is one of the favorites. You just take your chicken breast and you use mayonnaise. Of course, light mayonnaise is what he would choose. And then lemon juice and egg white. I think it's a half a teaspoon of hot sauce, crushed cornflakes, and then ranch dressing. And you cook it in the oven at 375 for like 45 minutes, I believe. But do your egg wash on your chicken breast, and then mix up your mayo and your hot sauce and your ranch. And then rub that over top of it, and then roll it in the crushed cornflakes.
Oh, so it's getting like crispy.
Yeah. To us, it's like the healthy version of the banquet chicken.
Yeah. Okay.
In a box. Yeah. We love that, but we're like, we love it too much that maybe we should find a different. And we were watching Dr. Oz, I think my daughter and I, maybe 15 years ago. It was forever ago. And it's been a highlight. I mean, yeah, it's always a fun one to do as well.
Well, now we're going to move on to my most favorite category, which is treats. And you're not as much of sweets person. You said you like the salty. You just don't eat as much for sweets, but Brent does.
Yeah. My husband, well, he likes it all, but yes. Yes, when we're camping, like I said, the whole graham cracker cereal thing, we always like to change up the s'mores thing a little bit. We've done the fudge stripe cookies with the flavored marshmallows. In between, we've done the chocolate-covered graham crackers with the flavored marshmallows. We've done the soft-baked Chips Ahoy. Those are a fun one. And then, or you're just your basic graham crackers, chocolate, Hershey chocolate, and marshmallows, always fun. And if it rains, you always can find ways to make them over the gas stove in the camper, or throw them in the microwave, or so they're always just a treat that everyone looks forward to.
Okay.
Of course, it's always fun just to light your marshmallow on fire and let it burn up. And I love black marshmallows. So some people are like having it way off, just getting like toasting
Toasted,
it. No,
warmed up.
I want that sucker black.
We were camping at, I can't remember now, but we weren't camping. We all had little cabins. Well, no, Betsy had their camper. So anyway, we were at a campground and Betsy's family used Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh.
And whatever their cookies and marshmallows were, I can't remember, but that was really good.
I love peanut butter, so that would be wonderful.
Yep. I can't remember if they used the regular size ones or the mini Reese's peanut butter cups, but I'd never seen it done, and it was delicious.
Yeah, and I think you can kind of probably put any little twist you want on them.
Oh,
but
yeah.
they're always fun.
Of course.
And then the kids, a few years ago, my girlfriend got the kids the sandwich makers for the campfires or whatever, and they did the little frozen biscuit, or not frozen, the biscuits in the tube.
Okay.
And you take your biscuit and put on each side of your pie press or whatever, and then filled it with like apple pie filling or peach pie filling, and they did those over the campfire with them.
So when you're talking about they put the biscuit dough in there, this is something that goes over a fire. It's not an appliance that you're plugging in.
No, yeah, this is
Okay.
it's like your hot dog sticks or your marshmallow sticks, but it's got like a sandwich press or a sandwich into it. And so they call them pie pockets, but they were really good too. I mean, they're a little bit probably messier, but you're outside. Exactly. It's a good thing for outside.
Yeah. Don't be bringing that pie pocket into the camper.
Yes. And then always a must is popcorn at our campfire. Back to the days of Itasca, my dad, that was back when they didn't have dumpsters. It was just the regular garbage cans with lids were kind of out by your campfire or your camp spaces. And of course, up north, the raccoons and bears were just crazy. But we live for this every year. He would tie a hot dog on the end of a fish hook and he'd string it through the camper window. And so when he'd make popcorn at night, he'd always make a batch for the raccoons and dump it all over the floor or the ground outside by your fire pit.
Oh, you're kidding.
And then he had a raccoon or a coon light up in the tree. So he'd turn that on and the raccoons would come and then they'd see the hot dog. And so they'd try to grab the hot dog and he'd pull the string up, and then they'd miss it.
Oh my gosh.
And we would for hours entertain with this raccoon. So he still has the coon light. It's out where we camp now, but it's like those memories of the whole popcorn and feeding the coons and, but again, we made that all over the campfire too. We had one of those popcorn poppers, cast iron. I think they're aluminum now, but they did have cast iron ones. But put the popcorn in there and cook it over the fire. And of course, you always burn the first batch because you're still prepping for it. But that's probably the ones the raccoons got. I don't know.
They don't care.
Yeah, exactly. But that was always a highlight as kids to, for the evening to come to taunt the raccoons.
That is so funny. Oh my goodness.
But since then, we do have one of those aluminum poppers, but Brent likes to make kettle corn in it, and so the sugar in it, if you put the sugar in, it's really it's hard on the pan itself. So I went out now and bought a popper, a big, huge, like bar size, popcorn popper. So we do it that way now, but it is still fun to every once in a while pull out the popcorn maker and you have those visions of feeding the raccoons.
That's crazy. Well, and it's a little healthier snack. If
Right?
you're sitting around the campfire at night and you're drinking beers or cocktails and have popcorn, that's always
Right.
I mean, it's a little healthier, but
Yeah. Or like
Good.
this last weekend, we were playing beanbags, and they're like, "You got popcorn?" And I'm like,
oh,
"No, I didn't make any yet." We ate the stuff we had last night, but it's like,
Yeah.
so our family likes popcorn. Again, the salt and the grease, and
Yep.
Yep.
Jason makes popcorn almost every night, I think, here.
Love it.
He's back to popping it over the stovetop, from
That's the only
from the
way
seeds.
that I make it at home too. It's got to be over the stovetop.
Yeah.
Of course, Brent's got to add like peanut M&Ms or something to his. I'm like, really?
Hot tamales. It's
Right.
like he's at the movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, no, just give me the popcorn. Like, this is my bowl. This is yours.
Brent. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I'm so glad that you shared all of these, and I know you have a ton more, but this is fun. And I think a lot of these things don't really have a recipe.
Right.
So we don't really have to share, but for some of them you gave me the recipe and are willing to share that. So I'll put those on randomsweets.com so people can go and check out like your grandma's salad and your mom's salad and those pickles and things like that. So
absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, one more thing that I want to talk about, and it's lefse. Because you, and I don't know how many people, so I want you to tell me, but you have this huge activity of, I mean, if anybody knows what lefse is, it's a Norwegian, it's sort of, I always say it's like the Norwegian tortilla.
Yeah.
But it's made of potato.
Correct.
And it's the flat, and we always grew up, my grandma would make it, we always grew up with it rolled with a little butter and sugar. But the last couple of years, I've actually learned to eat it in a savory. Taste of Scandinavia is a restaurant up in the cities, and they have, I think, 3 of them. It's a bakery and restaurant. Well, on their breakfast menu, they're using lefse for a lot of the savory dishes, kind of like omelets in there or a burrito, and they're amazing. So, but lefse takes a lot of time to make, and you don't just make a little batch every once in a while. You make large batches like once a year and then freeze them because it's a lot of work.
Correct.
So I just want you to quick tell me, because I want people to know that you and other people, you have this little business and you make lefse.
Yeah. We started in October. Usually the second, third weekend of October, we have again, family get together. It's kind of a family thing.
Yeah.
My brother goes out and gets the deer hut ready for November. And so he's not around much other than to eat it. My husband's usually around. He's our flipper. And then my sister-in-law and I, we have the Lefse Ladies. So you can check us out on Facebook. We have the Lefse Ladies. But we do, I think we started this maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago. But a huge outpouring of people that buy it. I think our biggest year a couple years ago, I think we sold like 125 dozen.
Oh my gosh.
That's not the stuff we call rejects or stuff we've ate or whatever, but
Sure.
That's what we sold at that one time. We also do Belgian cookies and rosettes as well, but lefse, yeah, we do it. We make huge batches and batches. We start in the morning, like by 8 o'clock usually. Last year, I think we went till like 10 o'clock, and Amy and I are the rollers. Like I said, my husband's the flippers of them, but there is definitely a skill to it because my husband tried to give us a little bit of relief. Like, you guys want to turn and flip and I'll roll, and then they make a mess out of your mat, and then you're just in trouble. You need to switch mats and start all over. But it's actually a recipe of my sister-in-law's, I think, her grandma's, and then we've revamped it. I know people ask us, do you use potato flakes? No, we use real potatoes. We rice them, we mash them, we oodles of them. So yeah, that's a whole nother story, like you say, a whole nother podcast, but we welcome anybody to check out Lefse Ladies. We have some really goodies, a lot of goods through the holidays. So yeah.
Right. And all of that takes special equipment. So making lefse, making rosettes, krumkake, all those things takes
Correct.
a lot of special equipment. And it's all these Norwegian goodies that a lot of us grew up on. When do you usually start? So you start in October. When can people usually order from you?
Usually they can order, when, like, there's people that have taken it fresh off the iron. I mean, people have stopped in the garage that weekend we start. and usually a week or two before we start, I put a little blurb out on the Facebook page or the Instagram page about it. So, but it's usually around the middle of October. And then we usually go to the first weekend in December, because then with all of our family and all of our holidays, that gets busy. But you can buy it and it lasts for sure 6 months in the freezer. Now, last year, at the weekend we were making it, I was clearing space in my freezer in the garage, and I found one that slid back from the year ago, and we ate it. And I tell you what, it didn't taste any different than what we were making. So, not that I suggest that, but 6 months is what we usually say. Sure. So, yeah, you can call ahead and get some orders, because, like I said, there was one year we did have to cap it off. Like, we're done. We can't make any more. Holidays are here. We got to get ready for our own.
And you don't ship it, but people can pick it up from you at different times. Or every once in a while you'll say, I'm doing a delivery in Brookings, or where else do you deliver?
I'll have it at the salon as well. Yep, in Marshall,
Perfect.
in Tyler. My brother lives in Mankato or by Wells, so they can bring it that way. And then we also do Brookings as well. So, yeah. And
how many times do you do this? So you're taking 8 a.m. till 10 at midnight, whatever. How many times do you do that in a season?
A long one like that, we do only once. It's a whole weekend of it.
Okay.
And then to fill orders, Brent and I'll do some at night, or I'll do them like I have Mondays off, or generally Mondays off. I'll do all day Monday by myself. Amy as well, her and my brother will do some orders down that way. So, but we make, I think, I don't remember how many dozen. It's quite a few. 40 dozen maybe when we do our big weekend. And like I say, if you know you want it fresh, it only lasts a few days. So if you want it fresh, they generally pick it up as we're making it. They'll stop by the garage and grab it.
Okay. But
for the most part after that, I throw them in the freezer and they pick it up after that. Okay. Really, there's no difference.
I will link in the show notes of the episode, so wherever somebody's listening, if they just scroll down and look at the show notes, the links will be there to your Facebook and Instagram. Yep. And then I'll put it on the blog too, so that they can find you.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I had somebody, Andy, my friend Andy, she messaged me last year. I know you'll know, where do you get lefse? And I said, well, I know where to get it, but they're done. But they're done for the season. You already missed it. And then it happened to be one of those church lady bake sales for one of those old country churches. I can't think of what it's called, out by Lake Campbell. I think they have it every year.
Okay.
And I told Andy they'll probably have it out there, but gave her your information for next year.
Great.
So.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't cut corners. It's the real deal.
The real deal. Real potatoes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, great. Jen, do you have anything else you want to share? Any tips or...
Like I said, just make camping as fun as you want it. You can make it as much work as you want it as well. We do a lot of it ahead of time. And like I said, just get out there, enjoy nature, and spend time with your family. It's a wonderful way to do it. And what way better to be around the fire. Another thing I will note, we love getting together around the fire and just singing folk songs. And we never had a guitar player. My son tried the ukulele for a little while, but even just pull out a guitar and sit around the fire. It's such fun times.
And you have so many, you've just talked about different things today. You have a lot of great memories. And so I am sure if your kids were sitting here talking, they would have a lot of great stories to tell as well.
Correct.
Which is really neat.
Yeah, it's a fun way to, like I said, get together, and in small spaces, you have to talk and communicate. Put the cell phones away. Occasionally we'll bring them all out because we're looking at this, that, and the other.
Right. Or it's pouring rain out anyway.
Right.
And
pull out the Yahtzee and play games, or just sit around and around the table like you would at home, but you're outside in the wilderness and loving life. We enjoy the outdoors. So yeah, I wish we can get more people out doing it.
Good. And do it while you can.
And we'll get you out soon.
Well, as long as there's air conditioning and a bathroom that has, air conditioning.
Running water and all.
Yes. Well, thank you. It really was a pleasure to talk to you today. And people are going to be all over a lot of these recipes and try things, I think. I know I am. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having
Jen.
me. Like I said, I was a little nervous, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
I don't know if I will ever hear a funnier camping story than Jen's dad luring those raccoons with popcorn and a hot dog on a string. This episode is really special anyway because Jenn really shared a lot of her family recipes, and I know she was close to Grandma Henkel, so it's so sweet to be able to share her potato salad recipe with everyone. Thank you, Jenn. I did a little research and found that Douglas Lodge at Itasca State Park in Minnesota is still open for dining and lodging seasonally. Plus, there's additional lodging in historic log structures dating back to 1938, and the newer Headwaters Inn dates back to the 1920s. And if you are planning a trip up there, you might want to listen to episode 5, where Jason and I share about our trip to Bemidji, Itasca State Park, and the Nielsen Spearhead Center. I cannot wait to hear what you think about this episode, and I want to hear about your camping recipes and memories. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Random Sweets, and I'm also on Instagram at Potatoes and Mittens, and it's all spelled out, Potatoes and Mittens. You can message me or tag me in your social media, and I also like to use, and would love for other people to use, the hashtag #OurSweetMidwestLife. So thanks for hanging out with Jen and me today. You can get all the recipes, links, and photos on my website, randomsweets.com. And I've also included all the links in the show notes here as well. And thank you to those of you who have written a review of my show. I see them, and I really want you to know how much I appreciate it. There's not a way for me to comment back or to like your comments and reviews, so I just want you to know I see them, I read them, I love them. This is kind of what helps me keep going, so thank you very much for doing that. I hope you all subscribe or follow Funeral Potatoes and Wool Mittens and set yourself up for alerts when a new episode's available. And then be sure to download them to your phone or your tablet so that you can listen even if the campground has no signal or Wi-Fi. Sweet wishes!